This week, Steve travels to northern Utah to hunt rutting bull elk during the peak of the September rut. The aspen trees are changing color and the air is cold. But the action is hot. On Steve's Outdoor Adventures. Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Burris Optics and the Eliminator Laser Scope, Stormcloth 2 Performance Outerwear, Corbon DPX Ammunition, Kershaw Knives, the new Bresser 360 Trail Camera, Steiner Binoculars, Outdoor Trail Freeze-Dried Foods, Montana Decoy Company, CVA Muzzleloaders, and UDAP Bear Pepper Spray.
I spent all year waiting for September. 10 and a half months out of the year, the elk don't bugle. But September, early October, it's the peak of the rut, and I can hardly wait to get out in the woods and start chasing the bulls and the aspens. And I know that my annual trip to Utah is right around the corner. When I arrived at the ranch, the weather had been warm, and the elk had really been quiet. The rut was running about 2 weeks later than normal, but Guy Jess Richens and I decided that we'd go hard the next morning, try to locate some bulls. And this ended up working out better than we'd planned. We're ready to get started here this morning. We've got perfect conditions, nice and cool. It's been hot and dry during the days, but as long as it stays cool this morning, we'll probably get some action. It's the end of September. The bulls have to be in the rut somewhere.
Steve and Jess hiked into one of Jess's favorite hunting areas, hoping to locate some rutting bulls. And they didn't have to wait long to hear their first bugle.
When I bugled and got an immediate response from 2 different bulls, we immediately moved in and set up below a small pond. The idea was for us to get close to the herd and try to coax the herd bull back to gather some cows that were getting away with one of the satellite bulls.
With Jess and Steve team calling, it wasn't long before they called in their first bull. The next setup proved just as good, and the duo called in a second bull, another 5x5. Every time they set up, they called in yet another small satellite bull, all the while getting closer to the herd bull. Will Steve get a shot at the herd bull? Find out when we come back from commercial break. This segment of Steve's Outdoor Adventures was sponsored by Burris and the new Eliminator Laser Scope. This segment of Steve's Outdoor Adventures is brought to you by Stormcloth 2. When we went to commercial break, Steve and his guide Jess were experiencing the peak of the September elk rut and closing in on the herd bull.
Screamed at the camera. That's 3 nice, 3 5x5s. I could have bow killed all of them. The one we want's up there. We gotta go chase. Let's go up another 100 yards. Yeah.
We kept moving in closer and closer to the herd bull's bedding area. We had the perfect setup with the wind in our face and the sun at our backs. And we hadn't been set up 30 seconds when we called in another 5x5.
Here's a bull right here. 60 yards and close it.
But I could still hear the herd bull up on the hill, so we kept calling, and sure enough, we called him in. The bull on the mountain with the biggest and baddest bugle, the bull with all the cows, was just a mean-tempered 5x5. We couldn't believe it.
The sound of his bugle, I'd have thought he was the next world record. That's an older 5x5 there. Oh, man. You hunt long enough and hard enough, a 6x6 is out there. What is up with that, man?
I thought for sure
He's
he was a big bull.
I thought, when he came down, I said, oh, here he comes, Greg, here he comes. And he came right off that big, fir tree right there, left side of it, and all I saw was, all I could see was brow tines, coming right at me. I thought, shoot, this is go time, baby.
You hear him scraping that tree up there.
Yeah.
Hard. Yeah.
In fact, when he came down here, he had just a little bit of it left on his antler. Guys, there's a lot of elk somewhere over in here.
Yeah.
Where's that go over here? Just another drainage?
It's still just like this, same canyon. It's big.
Another big canyon. Amazing.
With the midday heat shutting down the morning's elk activity, the hunters retreat to the lodge for lunch and prepare for the evening hunt.
That evening, we went out and hit several of Jess's favorite spots, but the elk just weren't talking. And in September, if they don't bugle, it's hard to find them. But we were confident that the next morning, we'd be on the bulls again. At the end of the first day of hunting, we'd called in 8 bulls, and 6 of them were within archery range. It was absolutely the best start to a day of hunting that I've had in a long time.
Closed captioning sponsored by Kershaw, the official knife sponsor of Steve's Outdoor Adventures. Cooperative Wildlife Management Units, or CWMUs, are hunt areas consisting of mostly private lands that have been authorized for the specific purpose of managing big game animals. The CWMU program is an effort to recognize the contribution made by private landowners in providing big game habitat on their private rangelands. Landowners are given a limited number of elk, deer, and in some cases moose permits that they can issue to their hunters. They get a longer season during the peak rut dates and can use any legal weapon of choice. While this is definitely beneficial to the landowner and hunters who pay to hunt there, a number of public hunters are also allowed to hunt on the CWMU lands. This is a mutually beneficial program for both the landowner and the guided hunters, but also for the general public that has some limited access that they would not otherwise have to prime hunting areas.
In Utah, Steve's Outdoor Adventures clients hunt almost exclusively on CWMU properties, which means excellent hunting areas and no drawing for licenses and tags. If you'd like to learn more about the Utah CWMU program, log on to Steve's Outdoor Adventures website show at the end of the program and find out how you can hunt trophy bulls in Utah.
This segment of Steve's Outdoor Adventures is brought to you by Corbon Ammunition.
I'm the Kentucky Turtle Man. You're on watching Steve's Outdoor Adventures here on the Outdoor Channel. Yay! Live action. Get you some.
This segment of Steve's Outdoor Adventures is brought to you by Steiner and the new Predator Extreme Binoculars. Steve is hunting with a 50 caliber CVA Optima muzzleloader, topped with a Burris Eliminator laser scope and shooting 250 grain Power Belt Arrow Light bullets, pushed by 150 grains of IMR White Hot powder. He's also following Utah regulations by wearing the Stormcloth Blaze Orange jacket, which exceeded the required 400 square inches of blaze orange, but came in handy on the cool mornings.
The next morning, the temperature was crisp, and Jess and I decided to hunt a different drainage. So we started along a ridge top, and it wasn't long before we located a bull, and we were closing the distance to make our first setup.
We've got a nice opening below us, got some water in it. Yeah, a little pond. We got the bull right here, bugling a little bit. Jess is gonna set up here. Little cow collar, we're gonna slide down to where we can see that opening down here. Hopefully, suck this bull out in the open.
The big bull didn't want to come out of the aspens, but expert calling by hunter and guide finally convinced him to come visit the lonely cows in the meadow below.
When this bull came into the meadow, I could tell he was big enough. I immediately eased back the hammer on the muzzleloader, and I waited for the right opportunity.
This segment of Steve's Outdoor Adventures is brought to you by the new Bresser 360 trail camera. Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Burris Optics and the Eliminator Laser Scope, Stormcloth 2 Performance Outerwear, Corbon DPX Ammunition, Kershaw Knives, the new Bresser 360 trail camera, Steiner Binoculars, Outdoor Trail Freeze-Dried Foods, Montana Decoy Company, CVA Muzzleloaders, and UDAP Bear Pepper Spray.
If you'd like to book this hunt for yourself, give my office a call. The toll-free number and website address are listed at the bottom of the screen. And I'm always available to take your calls and answer your questions and personally help you book the hunting or fishing trip of a lifetime.
When we went to commercial break, Steve West and his guide Jess Richens had called a big bull down out of the aspens, and the hammer was back on the CVA muzzleloader.
Good job, buddy.
I'll tell you what, he's a big five, you know?
Yeah, he's a big
But he's got long backs, and I thought, you know what? I've never killed a bull with a muzzleloader.
Really?
Yeah, this is my first muzzleloader. He came out too nice, you know?
Oh, yeah.
He's too big, he's a big five. We've waited about 30 minutes, sitting up here chomping at the bit to go lay my hands on my first muzzleloader bull elk. He's right over there somewhere. We heard him crash, but you always play it safe, let him get good and stiff, so we said we'd go get him. Don't want this bird. He does have a stick on that side, man. Tries to on this side. I think I can hang a ring on it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's what it's all about. Peak of the rut, September. Nothing like it. I live for September. I
Best
really
time
do.
to come. Good job, Steve. Congratulations.
Thanks. First muzzleloader bull, ain't half bad.
It's been an amazing couple of days here hunting bulls in Utah during the peak of the rut, up here in the Aspens. Just a phenomenal experience. We went out yesterday morning. We got right in the heart of them. We had 8 different bulls come in. 6 of them came to within archery range. They were screaming, carrying on. We changed ranges this morning. Came in here and located this bull right off the bat. He was vocal. We had a first setup on him was on the other side of the aspen pockets, but he just didn't want to come out of the timber. We made a plan to come in here, cut the gap down to between 100 and 150 yards, started cow calling at him. Jess was about 40 yards back in the timber. Worked out perfectly. We finally sucked this bull out into the open meadow just as planned. Came to within 41 yards, just stopped him perfectly broadside, dropped the hammer on him. It's just an amazing hunt. You know, peak of the rut, beautiful 6x5 bull. He's old and mature. I mean, just a fantastic hunt. And I can't say enough good things about the ranch that we're hunting on. Can't say enough good things about the guide staff. The entire guide staff, top to bottom, is first class. I love hunting in northern Utah during the peak of the rut. The CWMU rules allow me to use any weapon of choice, so I can bring my rifle or muzzleloader. And the country is spectacular. The aspens are turning yellow, the oak brush is turning red, and the mornings are crisp and cool. I wait all year for September in the Wasatch, and it never disappoints. And if you'd like to book this hunt for yourself, give me a call. My toll-free number and website address are listed in the show, and I'm available to take your calls and answer your questions, and I'll personally book your hunt on our pristine ranches in northern Utah. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this week's show, but please join us again next week for another exciting episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures.
It's been an exciting week of hunting. The bulls were in the peak of the rut. Several had come in close enough to be hunted with a bow and arrow, and one had fallen to the gun for Steve West. This annual trek to northern Utah is a hunt he looks forward to every year, and now he waits another 12 months to come back and hunt the aspens of the Wasatch Mountains.
I got the lodge inside, upstairs,
Yeah.
windows, down the deck, or the outside deck. Detailed memory.